Hello and welcome to part two of this. Well, it's probably going to end up being four parts, four-part series on TikTok. And specifically, this time we're talking about the algorithm. That's right. This is really what has always set TikTok apart from the other platforms. That is just how addictive it can be. And I just want to start off by, before I even get into this definition, I just realized that a lot of people who watch this might not be familiar as much with TikTok. Maybe they haven't used it, or if they've only used it once. When you log into TikTok, the first thing you see is not a feed of the accounts you follow, and it's not a feed of people you know. It is called the For You page, the FYP. This was really pioneered by TikTok originally back in 2019, 2020. It is a page where the algorithm decides what videos you see. Now, accounts that you follow are mixed in there, and you can scroll to the right or left to get off the FYP over to a scroll of just videos that you're following, or over to a focus area like a topic. But the FYP, the For You page, not For Your page, For You page is a carefully curated collection of videos. I could say content, CCCC. But when we think about TikTok as a really the impact it's had on social media, this is where it's gone to another level. Before TikTok, for the first, I would argue, 10, 15 years of social media, the content that you saw on your homepage, on your feed, on your home feed was a list of posts, usually chronologically from people that you followed, from your friends. Today, if you were to say that to a teenager who is on all these platforms, they would look at you like you're crazy. But most of us who have used social media for a long time remember the days, old yesteryear, when social media was just accounts that we followed. Now, the algorithm knows what we want, and it knows what we want better than we know what we want. And so here we are in an algorithm-based world, and if there's one platform that has done this and probably will continue to do this better, it's TikTok. So the big differentiation here began when their algorithm was designed to impact and show you content based on your interests and not your friends. This is something that most of the algorithms now do. You might even take it for granted, but it started here. And it's not just things that you like, but it's the actions that you take. And so we're going to look at a little bit more into that. But really, all the actions that you take on a video, whether that's a repeat view, it's an engagement, it's watching a longer percentage of certain videos based on topics, right? Those are signals for the algorithm that you like or dislike certain content. And the end result is that you get a more addictive scroll. For me, I personally try to stay off TikTok because it is addicting. It's an incredible platform, and I would argue I like and engage with many more videos from creators and brands that I've never heard of than those who I have. And I do see, obviously, if you like one company's post, you'll probably see another one of their videos later. But it's pretty incredible that it can be so addictive without even you doing much, right? Like it started showing me things that I liked from day one. If you've never been on TikTok and you've considered it, I would really strongly encourage you to just try it and just see what it's like because it's pretty wild how strong that algorithm is. But the other thing about that, and really this is where we can start to look at the business application, is that this is where an account with 0 followers can go viral. A lot of times you hear about these creators who weren't even creators. They just got on TikTok, they created one video and it went viral and got them like 10 million views. And and everything, from there went up. And that is very much the case on TikTok, even more so than other platforms, because the algorithm is so based on interests. User account details play such a small role, or at least we believe they do, on how videos are shown and who they're shown to, that it's a pretty even playing field. And we'll get more into that momentarily. So the elements of a TikTok video, there's four things. There's the look, so that's the visual side. That's like, they're short, they're to the point. This is really like the attention grabbing part of it. But also sometimes videos are faster, sometimes are slower. And also they're designed to fill up the whole screen. This is the first platform that really utilized the 916 vertical video. Meanwhile, the sound is another piece. I believe now there are more restrictions in place in terms of copyrighted sound, but we are at an interesting point where um, you see older music in particular kind of making a comeback and being available for brands to use, or for anybody to use, for creators to use. That's where you get those viral dances. That's where you see clips from TV shows or movies go viral. And you'll see people like imitating it. The example I have is John Hamm in the clubs dancing to an EDM song, right? That's been duplicated a million times over the past year. It's been pretty wild. And then the third part is the story. Um, this is just the storytelling, the narrative piece of it. There are a good handful of creators out there who just sit in front of the camera and talk, and some of them can do it in one take, some cannot. It's quite a gift. It's a pretty impressive feat if they can. But there is a story, because if they can tell a good story, they can narrate it and speak without any sort of back channeling like I do seemingly every couple of words here. It can be really impactful and engaging. Then you have the details. This is your technical stuff. This is the caption. This is the couple of hashtags, and you can only have 3 hashtags on TikTok to matter. This is any of the other written details. This could be the cover image that people see when they're scrolling your profile. This is essentially all the smaller things that may feel like small pieces, but they can have a big impact on the performance of a TikTok. All of that is to say, the algorithm starts and ends with the For You page, and they really start with the implicit signals. And when I say implicit signals, I look at implicit and explicit. Explicit are engagements. Those are signals that you can see. That's a like, that's a comment, that's a share, that's a send in a direct message, right? But an implicit signal are the things you can't see. They might seem explicit to you, the end user, but nobody else knows, except for the platform, of course. That is your watch time. That is repeat views. That is scrolling through someone's profile and watching 5 of their videos. And also it's viewing and engaging with a certain type of video. Maybe a bunch, like for me, if I were to engage with a bunch of videos about marketing or about anything like the internet, meme culture, right? That is an implicit signal that is not explicit. So this is the only platform where the view metrics are the clear top signals. YouTube comes close because you do have behavioral signals that are a big part of it. But that's not quite as dominant, again, as from what we believe and what I have found, than what the power that TikTok gives to the view metrics for that algorithm. Engagement metrics are more secondary, but if anything, the line I saw one place was that every swipe is a signal, whether that swipe comes immediately or after you've watched it 10 times, right? That swipe tells a lot just about your actions and what you think as a viewer of these videos. Now, again, based on my best guesses and all of the different reports I've looked at and what people have claimed to find out about TikTok, this is my best shot at what the algorithm does. And it's very similar to pretty much all the other ones. I know LinkedIn is the other algorithm where I think I have a really good grasp of it. And again, it's not me doing these experiments. I am aggregating other people, these people that study the algorithm, these people that make money on the algorithm. I've purchased these reports, I've looked at them, I've assembled them and figured out, all right, like where are the similarities between all these individuals? Because a lot of times they differ on a lot of what they say. So this is what we call the two loop system. The classic loop is you upload a video. You upload a video, you add all the details, and you publish it. Right. Next, when you publish it, all of the details of your video are analyzed by TikTok for the algorithm. That includes really mainly the details, but also the audio, the visuals that you have, and I believe you're also kind of assigned a category. So I put up a bunch of TikToks a couple years ago, trying to talk about the world of marketing and like the latest marketing news, and it really didn't get off the ground. But it was clearly about marketing because I said it. I kind of like put my stake in the ground immediately of like, this is what the category is. So then what it does is based on what the video analyzes and you, the creator, to an extent, it then delivers it to a small test audience. You probably can't read this on the screen, but it's a few hundred people. And their implicit signals or implicit actions are really what drives the next step. Right? There's the engagement. I put engagement, but it's implicit. It's like view. It's engagement and the view data. Completion rate, rewatches. That's all weighed the most. The shares via DM. That's similar to Instagram. That's a really big one. And based on that performance, it'll either die out or it'll be delivered to a bigger audience. This is where you can start to go viral because this is a broader audience, again, in the same category, and again, based on the interests. And you can start to see more and more shares, more and more virality that is being developed. Then, based on all of that, you start to see your page, your interest profile gets updated. So what this means is, as your video goes, let's say your first video goes viral, you reach 1 million people, right? That is essentially like you're earning your distribution there, and your page, your profile is, one, it's tagged as a certain category and a topic, and then two, you are suddenly a category that can be viewed by these other people who have already engaged with your page. So if you reach 1 million people on your first post, there's a much higher chance that 1 million people are in that pool of seeing your future posts. Whereas before, on your first page, on your very first post, your content is just starting from zero, whereas next time it's going to be starting with a little bit of a base. Now that becomes a feedback loop back to the small test audience, because also you could be in the small test batch for other videos on the other end, which is kind of that second loop. All right, so we'll pause there. Up next, we have Remix Culture. This will go a little bit faster. I think the algorithm is a little bit more thick, a little bit more in depth, but we're going to get into a little bit more fun with the Remix Culture, and then we'll get into the real businessy stuff with social commerce. So for now, I will say goodbye, and hopefully you'll be able to pick up next time.